I don't know if you've noticed, but the last 2 days, there has been an emergency sitting of Parliament. Parliament, they were on recess, but they were recalled for an emergency sitting. We had to ask the question, so what was achieved at the end of those 2 days of sitting in Parliament, considering that the MPs were recalled for an emergency sitting to consider a few things. It was the Speaker of Parliament who first raised a concern about the reasons why the House was recalled under the circumstances that we saw. We will explain the circumstances pretty shortly. But he went straight to the constitutional provision that empowered members of Parliament, regardless of the time, whether they're on recess or not, to place a request to the Speaker of Parliament demanding a meeting. The Parliament be constituted, even when they are on recess. Now, this article 112 clause 3 is there for members of Parliament to exercise, to take advantage of. And the majority side did exactly that. Once this clause is triggered, within 7 days, by 15% of members of Parliament, and that, by the way, if you're looking at 275 members of Parliament, comes down to 41 MPs. If this is triggered, the Speaker of Parliament within 7 days, he has absolutely no choice in the matter. He must summon members of Parliament for a sitting. And this is exactly what happened over the last 2 days. And the issues were threefold. The first one that we need to look at, the reasons why the majority side exercised the right in the Constitution to force the Speaker to recall Parliament, was the first one was 275 million energy sector recovery loan that they wanted Parliament to reconsider. In fact, this was an interesting one. It's the most controversial one indeed, because it was rejected just before Parliament went on recess. In fact, the day Parliament went on recess, it was put to a vote and the majority side lost. Now the majority side wanted to use this emergency sitting to have it rescinded. And they got that. Yesterday, they failed because questions were raised. It was referred back to the committee to look at. I'll tell you what issues really were in there that caused a bit of controversy around this. But they managed at the end of the day today, which is the last day for the sitting, to have this rescinded. And I'll ask the minority side, what changed though? Because they were vehemently opposed to this. So how come a few weeks on, they are now backing it? And it only passed because the minority side backed it. And remember, this is the same issue where allegations were raised that out of the 250 million that we're going to be using for the energy sector recovery program, which, by the way, is under the IMF program, and some of the things we need, the targets we need to meet under the IMF program, they were opposed to it because 90 million, they allege, was going to be used for consultancy. And they said it's unconscionable when you borrow money to pay 90 million of that to consultants. And they raised that, they got some clarity, and they have switched positions. So we'll get to that. We'll ask them what changed pretty shortly. And the second main issue was another big subject of controversy, 350 million tax exemptions. And this is a subject that has been in Parliament since 2021. In fact, the majority side, your own former spokesperson on the economy, the chairman of the Finance Committee, Kweku Kwating, was opposed to it. One of the reasons why it stayed at the Finance Committee for more than 2 years. They wanted the emergency sitting of Parliament, I'm talking about the majority side, to look at this and approve it. As you see there, I put an asterisk there, just to say to you that by the end of the emergency sitting today, the House rejected it. They failed to get their way, as far as this is concerned, to in Parliament, the majority side. The third issue is another 250 million IDI loan, which, by the way, also didn't quite happen. So out of the three main things, three main items that came before the House for consideration for which reason the emergency recall was triggered, only one was checked. Only one went through. And we've heard some of the members of Parliament today say they believe this was a waste of time. It was unnecessary. But speak to the majority side. The 250 million energy sector recovery thing was a big deal for them because it is part of the IMF conditionalities. It's not like I'm calling conditionalities loosely, because we went to the IMF and said these are the things we will do, and this is one of them. And if you're not hitting this bullseye has consequences, implications for your ability to access the rest of the disbursements from the IMF. And so this was critical. And they have now managed to get the minority members, most importantly, to switch from a position of rejection to a place of approval. But then the 350 million tax exemptions, what really is happening here? From 2021 to now, they still feel even an emergency sitting of parliament could not convince the minority side to back it. There's some members on the majority side who themselves are opposed to it, and not least Kuku Kwarteng, former Deputy Finance Minister. So those are the key issues there. But this 250 million loan, I'm pretty sure you remember that it was that caused a bit of controversy when Muntaka Mubarak, the former minority whip, raised the issue that 90 million of that was going to be used to pay consultants. They got some clarity on this yesterday, and that the amount in question that will go to consultants is around 10 million. Is that what convinced the minority side to back it down? I don't know. We'll ask them when we sit for a conversation. And then we know, when you come to the energy sector reforms, there was a huge controversy yesterday, because apart from the 3 items that I put forth, there were an additional, 8 other items that the majority side wanted to lay before the House for consideration. And the minority side said it wasn't part of the list of items you told us you wanted to recall us to come and consider. One of the big ones included the merging of VRA and the Bui Power Authority to create one unit, right? The Ghana Hydro Authority. And that was a very controversial one. It's because it's a big decision, really. And we're going to be getting into that when we sit with the Banda MP who is with us, because he, on the floor of Parliament yesterday, vehemently opposed this whole idea of merging VRA with the Bui Power Authority to create this one unit, because he raised issues about a potential state capture. And then we dug a bit more into it. And then we realized that this was just one part of a bigger restructuring of the energy sector as far as the energy sector institutions are concerned, right? So you're going to have NEDCO and ECG also merged under this arrangement, which, by the way, was approved by Cabinet. So this is a very comprehensive overhaul of the energy sector institutions, including VRA, Bui Power. If they have their way, they'll merge it. NEDCO and ECG will also be merged. But then if you come to the thermal generations, they're also going to have a situation where all the thermal plants will come under one unit called the Ghana Thermal Authority, right? And then you also have the regulatory authorities. I'm talking about the Energy Commission and the PULC also being merged. So this is a very comprehensive policy that the government has already approved at the cabinet level, and we got clarity on this from Evans Mensah, by the way, that is going to go through Parliament. The first part of it, at least, the merger of VRA and Bui Power Authority. The minority side says the timing is wrong because you have, less than 100 days for elections. This is not the time to sort of push and rush through such a major piece of legislation there. And so that is something that we haven't seen progress quite significantly, but it's a big deal that came yesterday also before the MPs to consider. The concerns that were raised, fundamentally, one is that there hasn't been engagement. Also, the increased bureaucracy. They believe that will happen if you centralize everything in one unit, as in the Ghana Hydro Authority. And there's also risk of state capture, which is a fundamental one with a lot of allegations that were made too. If you look at the tax exemptions that the minority guys were opposing, which was one of the items on the list to be considered, 42 companies were going to get the tax exemptions. And this was going to amount to some $350 million. It started at $400 million plus. And through a lot of negotiations and the minority insisting that they're not going to approve it, it is whittled down to 350. And companies such as Fentio, the oil refinery, was going to get the lion's share of the more than $160 million of the tax waivers will go to them. The accusation from the minority is that part of that money is going to go to cronies of the MPP, but they haven't provided any evidence to back that. So, but that's in essence the fundamental reason why they're opposed to it. We've seen the minority leader today vehement about the disappointment he feels about the minority's refusal to cooperate with the majority side to have the tax waivers through. Remember that the president himself got involved at one point, invited the minority guys to Jubilee House to try and get them to see why it's important to approve this $350 million worth of tax waivers, because as you see there, the minority leader was saying on the floor of Parliament today, it is about businesses. And government has made the argument that if you approve this, businesses will get the break they require to expand, to employ, and that it grows the economy. The minorities having none of that, and that has set the stage for a more acrimonious return of Parliament when they finally do return indeed. So 2 items not taking, only one has been dealt with. So really, what was achieved? And I've heard the minority guys say this was a waste of time because a lot of money was spent getting the MPs to Accra. And one MP told me on Top Story that he was given at least 5,000 CDs to come to Accra and participate in what has happened over the last 2 days. You can just multiply that, but also Parliament did not sit in its regular chamber because it's under renovation. So they have to find an alternative place to sit, which costs a bit more. So, okay. Is this something that was needed in the first place? And what really the consequences are if you look at some of the big ticket items that the House was considering? My guest will join me for a conversation. Stay with me. And PBS is always brought to you by Syntax Stance, and it is strong, it is tough, and I always recommend that to you. Also, Academic Times Ghana is an incoming graphic and online publication aiming to collaborate with university authorities and students to ensure that students' research is published in summary form, and you want to look for that. And as you know, we're back on tuning, and so find Joy FM there. It used not to be there, but we're back now, and so you can enjoy us in your pocket. Also, as you know, just pick a phone and call Syntax Stand because they have the tank just for you with 7 years warranty, 0244 335 168, or shop online at syntaxgh.com. It's strong in tap. My guest joining me for a conversation tonight is Habib Idrisu, and you know him. He's the first Deputy Majority Whip. And in the studio with me is Ahmed Ibrahim. He's the first Deputy Minority Whip. I'm grateful, gentlemen, for your time. And Habib, let me start with you. So you asked the Speaker, you got more than 15%, I believe, at the time that you were signing to get the House recalled for this emergency sitting. Was it worth it?
Thank you, Evans, and good evening to your viewers. I think it's worth it. A lot has been achieved, no matter how little it is. Because within the 48 hours, we've been able to do a lot and achieve a lot. When we we trigger the Constitution in Article 112 and our standing orders, Order 53.2, Order 53.3, to reconvene Parliament, we had made and stated 4 main issues that we were going to look at. And I hear members talking about, or other people talking about, it was 3. It was actually 4 main issues. And one was the 250 IDA loan, the financial agreement with the World Bank that has to do with the financial sector. And then the 250 on the financial sector, energy sector recovery. And then we also talk about the 1D, 1F tax exemptions. And we also talk about some bills that we were supposed to consider that were of urgent need and important. That has to do with the Environment Protection Bill 2024, the Social Protection Bill 2024. Even today, we had attempted to start the APA bill. So these were the critical issues that we recall Parliament for. But if you follow our proceedings, we've been able to achieve, because before we adjourned Senate DA the last time, you could see that there was a lot of issues with regards to the first 250 million IDA loan.
It was rejected, was it not?
No, it was not rejected. I don't know how.
The Speaker put the vote. I remember. I watched that.
If you watch if you know the proceedings of Parliament very well,
I recall
it was
the
not
Speaker
rejected.
put the vote. And then he says at the end that the nays have it, and then one of your colleagues got up to raise an issue of division. Then he said that was on the procedure, and it ended.
No, I don't think that was exactly what happened, because I think when the Speaker put the question on the 250 IDA loan on the energy sector recovery, he said the noes have it. Patrick Boama, who is the chairman of the Finance Committee, then challenged the ruling of the Speaker. Then when he challenged the Speaker onto head count, then the Speaker said that my decision on the head count, on the voice vote, has been challenged. onto a head count. Then I was on my feet and I was recognized by the speaker. And I told him that even though on head count, the first in terms of our standing orders, the first procedure is for you to ring the bell for 5 minutes. And then the second procedure is for you to allow leadership to engage. So I told him that, Mr. Speaker, we are masters of our own rules. We understand the fact that you need to ring the bell, but I wanted to urge you to suspend sitting for 5 minutes so that we could be able to engage.
And then,
So Speaker said that I was jumping the first procedure to come to the second procedure, but he did acknowledge that his decision or his ruling on the voice vote has been challenged.
But so then explain why in this emergency sitting you've come with this motion of rescission.
So
that's an admission that a decision was taken.
The decision of the voice vote was challenged, but there was no decision on the challenge. It is not that the decision was there without being challenged. The decision was challenged. So in this case, when we came, we had to engage again and then said that, okay, now what do we do? You see that yesterday, Speaker admitted that it was his advice that we should actually come with a motion of rescission of the decision.
Even that was challenged,
raise the issues of the procedure, that procedurally it was not right. But we were of the view that your decision had been challenged. And if we don't, doing the head count, ringing the bell was going to stress members. So what was the way out? We are masters of our own rules. Speaker advised that why not come to say that, okay, let's put the decision aside and then go afresh. And exactly yesterday, it generated a lot of debate. And a decision on that decision was taken because Speaker had advised that the Finance Committee should go back and look at the 90 alleged consultants.
Because you provided more information to them.
More information, and that we should go with the help of the leadership of the Energy Committee. I'm a member of the Finance Committee. So we had our meeting. We deliberated on the issue this morning. As at 9 o'clock, we were having meetings.
For clarity, how much are you putting aside from the 250 million for consultants, which really was
10 million. It was 10 million.
But even 10 million is quite a lot, just for consultants.
But they're looking at exactly what they want to do with the 250. If you go into the document itself, you could say that 10 million is quite on the high side, but the kind of job that they are going to do, definitely it's not going to be easy. So we'll still have oversight on it. We'll still ask them questions and follow up and see how this is being implemented.
Let me get your thoughts. Ahmed, 10 million. Initially, your colleague Muntaka Mubarak had suggested it was 90 million. Yesterday he conceded when he saw the facts that he was wrong. He's okay with the 10 million, and notwithstanding that, I had some of your colleagues who raise issues with it. But today you've come around to approve it. What changed?
Evans, let me say a very good evening to our cherished viewers. And also to thank you for the opportunity in getting these items on your table to be able to explain to Ghanaians what happened in Parliament. And to welcome my good brother, because during the recess I haven't seen you.
I've been conversing for more.
I know you are working, destabilizing us. But we refuse to be destabilized. We are coming back. But Evans, you've asked a very sensitive question. You see, one fundamental aspect of democracy is openness and accountability. If you are not open to the people, they may not be able to understand your vision and appreciate the direction you want to lead them to. So freedom of information is part of the preconditions of democracy. The document which government brought today and which informed and brought the various breakdown of the 250 million was not given to the committee when they were discussing or considering the 250 million facility. Secondly, the ranking member of the committee, Honorable Adekadongo, made it clear today that why is it that when you brought the facility, the agreement for consideration, you failed to bring this document alongside. Meanwhile, the chairman of the committee said it was part of it, but they failed to bring it as part of the consideration. And that is what landed them to where they landed. Secondly, the Speaker of Parliament has helped the ruling government a lot, and my brother will testify to that. On the very day, you know, the majority side just changed leadership. They didn't have enough space to reconcile their back, and we were about ending the meeting. It comes with a whole lot of crisis in governance. So the Speaker sitting at where he sat, because we also went through the same problem. The Speaker sitting at where he was sitting, even though you are the majority, but on that fateful day, you were the minority.
Are you talking about today?
Even today.
Yeah.
And on that fateful day itself.
Yes, and that before the recess.
So any reasonable or rational speaker will not side with you on so many things, because he will be trying to canvass the minority, which have outnumbered you in terms of numbers, to buy into your the state must run.
So, but what changed today, though?
Yes, so that's I'm coming to where my brothers were trying to accuse the Speaker of not doing their bidding. And he knows very well that I've been in the decision. When the Speaker was saying, honorable colleagues, I think the best thing to do now is to adjourn the House. And he said, Mr. Speaker, we are calling for division. He said, colleagues, honorable members, the best thing to do for me now.
He was saying the signal to them.
He was sending a signal to them.
If you do a division, you lose.
It was the right thing to do.
It will be fait accompli.
If you are minority, if you call for division, if I count 100 times, you'll be minority. And it will anger the people the more. And therefore, getting it to be reversed and finding a way of making sure the government is able to find it will be difficult for you. So the Speaker is always trying to bring the two sides together. And it was on that note, sitting at where I sit, and that's how I understood the Speaker. So I could say, honorable, you know, we whispered to each other. I said, what the Speaker is saying, listen to what the Speaker is saying. And truly, today the Speaker was able to, it wasn't that we only went for even this rescission of this rescission motion. Our colleagues, not all of them agreed with it. But Speaker Bagbo is somebody everybody respect. When he said, no, where we are now, the nation needs the money. You rejected it because you were not getting information. Now, the most important information that will help you to do the scrutiny, they've brought it.
Your main concern, at least through Muntaka Mubarak's articulation, was the 90 million.
90 million. They added the 90 million.
Now he says it's 10
part
million.
Of the 90 million.
So you're happy that we're going to use 10 million?
Yes, part of the
250 million for consultancy.
10 million of the 90 million is for consultancy. Part of it is 100 million. 90 is for meters. You are going to use it to buy meters. 10 million, only 10 million is for consultancy.
Only $10 million?
No, I'm
$10 million, it can be only.
Yeah, Evans, I will come there. Only 10 and not 90. That is what I mean. 90 and not 100. 90 is for consultancy. It's for meters. And therefore, they didn't segregate it that we are going to use 90 million for buying meters, and we are going to use 80 million for buying meters and 10 million for consultancy. It was written consultancy. 90 million is there. The meters was not specified. And beyond the meters, the 250 million, there's a term sheet where the various cost breakdown. 10 million for consultancy, 80 million for procurement of meters, this and this.
So now you have the breakdown.
So when we rejected it, they brought the sheet.
So that was convinced you.
So when they brought it and they said we should go for rescission, then the Speaker said, it's better you lay, once you have brought the term sheet, let me refer it back to the Finance Committee.
That's what happened yesterday.
So that they will go and ask the necessary questions. When they ask the necessary questions, then they come back with a report on the floor that we are now convinced. So that they are going to do the oversighting. And the people that you are giving them, or the word of mouth that you are giving them, is not what they are going to do. They are going to use the term sheet. You said you were going to use 10 million for consultancy. Have you used 10 million? Or you have used less or more? You said you are going to use 80 million of the 250 million for the procurement of meters. How many meters and at what cost? These are the questions they went to ask today. And they were well convinced and they came back and we pass it.
Okay,
that is what informed the motion for rescission. And in fact, they must be applauding the Speaker for doing that, for giving them the opportunity to do what they have done. Other than that, that would have been the end of it.
Another item, and you've been here on this subject before, the tax waivers. Why are you still opposed to it? They have whittled it down. I remember the day you came, you gave me, I saw the documents. It was way in excess of $400 million. The president actually called you to Jubilee, met you, explained to you why this is needed. And still, even an emergency sitting
Evans
didn't convince you to support them.
Three items were on the other paper.
Yes.
On the recall sheet.
Yes.
They said we should go and borrow $250 million for financial sector stability, and go and borrow another $250 million for energy sector recovery. But we should dash $460-something million. Dollars, all in dollars. Then the $460-something million had been whittled down to about $350 million. Evans, in times of crisis, you don't have money, and you have $350 million. Will you dash the $350 million while you are going to borrow $500 million? Will you do that? It doesn't make sense. And where we are now, even by our culture, when you own somebody, assuming I'm going to borrow money from Abib, and I have somebody, Abib has somebody to give me. So, oh, I know now you are in crisis. Therefore, whatever you were supposed to dash to me, no, I leave it. I'm going to even find a way of getting it for you. So those companies, B5 is a very powerful company. The whole of West Africa, they produce iron rods.
Yeah.
Still.
The steel company.
Exactly. It's the biggest in the country. I don't see any company in Ghana that has the capacity of B5. B5 was there in Rollins's time, Kufuor's time, Atamil's time, Mohammed's time, and it is there in Kufuor's. It is not a company that is just now coming, then you say it's 1D, 1F. So clearly, B5 understands that where we are now, even people, pensioners, who save their money, they work for 30 years and save their money, have been given haircut. And some of them are dead by now. Some cannot even buy their own medication. So if you are well-to-do, you have the capacity, now you should empathize with government and should not just be going for those kind of things. Beyond that, about 42 companies, 42. Cinto Oil. Have you seen the price of oil on the world market at this time?
Yeah.
Oil, gold, cocoa. Commodity prices are now on the rise, isn't it? So it is not that we are in recession, whereby you will say that we are all incurring losses and therefore we are. So companies, those well-to-do companies, should now be empathizing with government. And where government is
funding? And Century is getting
$164 million. So it doesn't make sense. And my brother is aware. I may be in opposition. Am I in opposition, to be precise? I know where government is standing is not good. We are now telling government that, look, we are giving constructive criticism. Where we are now, we side with you.
The majority accuses you of destroying businesses.
Let me tell this is not most of these tax waivers is quite a minority person. Look, people who understand and know better, including the World Bank, are not in support of these tax waivers at this time. And Evans, we all did basic economics. It's only when you are coming to establish. Sometimes you are giving a tax holidays for 2 years, isn't it? Sometimes for 1 year, just for you to be established. But we don't go, it should not be like government minister for trade business is just going about. When you see multimedia, I'm doing 1D, 1F. Can I bring my somebody here and I say 1D, 1F, I give you tax waivers, then I include you in the tax waivers?
Let me ask him.
You see, then you go
on the tax
then you
waivers.
Go to B5. B5, I want to bring my somebody here.
You consider is dead.
You think Minister for Trade Business will just erection of signboard and bring in tax waivers?
You see, I follow your question to my colleague Ahmed, and I see that he is struggling seriously to be able to understand the fact that are they now satisfied with the $10 million for consultancy? Is that the reason why they have approved the IDA $250 million? If you look at his response, and even if you follow proceedings in Parliament, you will see that our colleagues in the minority, NDC, are deliberately and necessarily frustrating government business in Parliament. Why do I say so? I say so on the basis of the fact that the report that came from the Finance Committee on that day before Muntaka raised his issue was a consensus report. The minority members... No, I'm coming. You see, I'm coming. What I'm trying to say is that they have a large number, or they have equal numbers in the committee of Finance Committee in Parliament. We deliberated the issue. We look at the substance of the loan and what actually composed of the loan in this sector, and then we all agree that we should be able to approve it. And in any case, if we follow parliamentary proceedings, the IDA loan are always concessionary loans that normally we don't object to. But when it gets to the floor, then Honorable Muntaka, who is not a member of the Finance Committee, raised issue to say that how can 90 million be used for consultancy? What has happened and have been proven means that he was wrong. That's why I said that it was a deliberate attempt to frustrate. No, it was a. So are they telling us that the Adongos, they are talking about their economic gurus, they are talking about John Junapos and the rest of them. Is it that they didn't do due diligence in the committee? Is that the case?
The majority leader actually, in moving the motion for rescission, actually said they brought additional documentation.
No, the additional documentation here...
Patrick Boama now goes through the breakdown. I watched...
Like I said, when we were considering this issue, the breakdown was there. What Ahmed was saying has to do with the fact that ECG is using about 65 million in terms of buying the prepaid meters. Netco is also using some 10 million in buying prepaid meters, and then only 10 million is going for consultancy. So what I am
only 10 million.
No, what I'm trying to say is that I use the word only when they had already made the mention, let the whole public know that it was a 90 million, which was never the case. So he is drifting from the fact that they are deliberately trying to frustrate government business. For the fact that... Is that the same with the tax waivers? Because I want to address it because the tax waivers system, we consider them. I was part of the meeting. And you will see that the initial amount that were going to be given away in terms of tax holidays, I had that concern with some of them and what was given out. But when federal and better particulars, no, it was concerns. But when we had the meeting and then explanations on the waivers was given, we all understand. When you look at the international market now, even just look at West Africa, businesses and people trying to move to different countries depend upon what is given to the business person. If I am in Ghana, and then I am not getting some concessions, some opportunities to be able to run my business, and I know that I can get it in Morocco. We have one of the biggest free zones in terms of West Africa. I'll move there.
So, but why are you giving it to Central? They've already established an oil refinery company, 160 plus.
So are you saying that if Joy FM that has already existed for so long, that you need to expand, you need to do some parts or do other things in terms of expansion, and then there is an incentive from the government that you can take advantage, that will help you to be able to move forward, you will not take advantage of that? Is that a crime? No? Evans, let me make the case. We should not always have in mind that whatever they are giving is money being given away as if government doesn't care. Government do care.
And government is 1D, 1F?
No, what I'm saying is that...
I'm just clarifying. This is a clarity.
Part of them.
They can be.
No, part of it can be.
But because this came under the umbrella of one district, one factory.
But what he failed to realize is that when we were even considering the companies under 1D, 1F, we never considered Central. We didn't. Yeah, but so how come we're giving? We didn't even consider them.
When was Central added to the list?
I was part of the list.
So they were not part of the list.
We invited them. We had the finance committee had a meeting at Alisa Hotel. We invited all the companies so that we'll be able to have interactions with them to understand and get justification on the need for this basis.
Central wasn't part of that.
We didn't even invite them to have this discussion.
So how come they got on the list?
You see, what I am trying to tell my
I'm interested now. How come they got on the list?
Ask him whether he has seen it on the order.
I have seen it. I've seen it.
No, but have you seen it? Because we had prepared motions on the companies
I've seen previously.
Previously.
No, but the will no longer get.
Listen, we had mentioned companies to consider.
Well, I'm still interested. How did Central get on the list then?
Listen, the names on those who were to come for the exemption, their name were there. Now,
you said Central wasn't part of that.
No, I mean
list.
it was part of the provisional list. Now we decided
it was
to
part
engage.
Of the provisional list.
We decided to engage company by company. Company by company. We spent about 4 days at Alisa Hotel to be able to appreciate and understand all this thing. We invited the sector ministry, we invited the official from the Ministry of Finance and the companies. But when we look at it, some of them, it was reduced. That's why you could see that the money had come down drastically. When you were posing the question to my colleagues here that now the money is down. So what I'm simply trying to put across is the fact that we are in a competitive market.
Yeah,
we are in a competitive environment.
But it's
and for that matter, you shouldn't. I don't want it to sound
but it's important
as
to clarify, right? Because the Central, I'm raising it because they have the biggest share of the waivers, $160+ million. Were they part of the initial list you considered?
Yes.
They were part of the initial list. So all three have been part.
Yes.
Okay. So that for me offers clarity because you seem to have suggested that they were not part of the initial
Yes.
list, and I wanted to clarify.
I was still making the point that even though we,
but my fundamental question to you: do you now admit that the tax waivers is dead?
No, it's not dead.
It's not
in
dead.
fact,
you still push it.
You see, when he was mentioning,
he's been in Parliament since 2021.
So there was a problem, and then the problem was that the chairman of the Finance Committee, by our standing orders, is mandated to call meeting to look at.
And he was opposed to it.
And he was opposed to it, and he never. And it is not about him.
And
it's
still, he's no longer there. But still,
it's not about Kweku Kwarteng. It's government business.
Yeah, he said it publicly. He told me.
So it's not about Kweku Kwarteng. It's government business, and I'm saying that at that time it was still in the banner. You get it. But after we did reconstitution of our committees, then there was a new chairman of the committee who think otherwise and was able to convey a meeting to first of all look at it. When we were talking about it, the committee have never been able to have a meeting to look at it. I mean, this was the first time we had a look at it, and then
since 2021.
No, I'm coming, Ahmed. And then when we did, then the committee, the minority participated in trying to.
So you mean after this emergency sitting, you still want to push it?
No, yeah, we will push it.
You still push
when we resume, maybe somewhere in October or so, we'll be able to have a look at it. Because the speaker was saying that members are distressed, members want to go back to their various constituencies, and for that matter, we were also gauging the mood of the House. So when my colleague said that, when the speaker said that, honorable members, he know because where he sits, and he is very experienced as a parliamentarian before becoming a speaker. So it is still in the banner. We are going to push it. We think it is right. We think that they deserve that. We think that the business committee need it. We think that it's going to help the country, and we'll still push it. When we come back, we'll pass all of them.
Well, Ahmed, that's your word.
Evans, let me tell you, some of the majority members are patriotic Ghanaians, and therefore they think the same way Kweku Kwarteng thinks.
And some of the minority also believe
you have 138.
And you have 137.
You have recalled Parliament. You have recalled Parliament because of tax waivers. We have come.
No, Ahmed.
You have 138.
No, not because of tax.
It's one of the items.
Not because of tax.
Yes.
Yeah,
as at yesterday, when we started yesterday in the morning, we were 78, they were 55. They asked myself, you've recalled us to come for an emergency meeting to consider 3 or 4 items. We, the minority MPs, are 78. The majority MPs are 55. But you know the reason?
But where are you getting these numbers from? Where are you getting these numbers from?
Abib, were you not counting?
No,
and
counting it.
That's why you can't. They also counted. I'm exhibiting you. That's the work.
Are you quoting from the voting?
That's the work me and you do.
The official document to confirm numbers we were present yesterday.
Abib, what did we do yesterday?
Ahmed, what did we do? Yesterday we were able to achieve a lot.
Yesterday, what did we do? I'm not talking about today.
Shall I tell you yesterday what we did?
Lane of people doesn't need decision.
It matters because you see, yesterday.
What decision did we take?
Yesterday, they got the document that loan referred to the finance committee.
And apart from that, yesterday, the Public-Private Partnership Regulation 2024 was late. The Cyber Security Regulation 2024 was late. The Cyber Security Terms and Conditions Regulation 2024 was late.
Decision.
I'm saying that.
Did we take any decision yesterday?
Yes, the decision that rejecting the 250 loan and on the back that 90 million was going to consultancy was now rescind and then
that decision was taken today.
Committee.
That decision was taken today.
That decision was taken today, and the only decision we
listen. The speaker by saying that finance committee should go back and look at the whole thing.
But back because there are two issues I also want to tackle.
Seriously speaking,
yes,
most of them are not in agreement with the tax.
And most of you are in support of it. Some of your colleagues come
you have majority.
They are in support.
We come to the floor. You have to fight. Minority is one, and because of that, you were afraid of taking decision.
Then we have to put this into secret voting, and you will see the number of minority MPs who vote
the Constitution. We have the Constitution seriously stipulate voting in the House.
I understand.
I cannot say that, but clearly, Abi, if your side,
so Ahmed, are you against all of it?
Or the
are you against all the 42?
Abi, we are saying that.
Ahmed, are you against all the 42?
So Allah
will be part of those who vote for some of this.
Allow him to address it.
You asked me a simple question. How did Sinto get to the tax waiver? According to Sinto, he was just somebody said he could help me to get tax waivers. So not that he came to apply for.
Because he seemed to suggest they were not part of the list.
This was one thing that he annoyed most of the MPs. How is it that I can help you to get $160 million?
But is that what really happened, though?
Middlemen, a lot of middlemen are in between these tax waivers. Okay. And that's what annoyed most.
Will you support it when Parliament resumes?
No. Evans, where we are now. Even MPs are being called by GRA to come and even top up their taxes before they are given tax clearance certificate. That's where we are. So clearly, Abib, where we are, we side with you that the economy is in crisis. Everything is on the reverse, according to the report.
The economy,
so there is no way
to recovery. The economy is in the right path. The macro economic indicators are showing signs of recovery.
There are two big ticket items I also want to deal with. Ahmed, you were on the floor yesterday talking about, you mentioned water. You were very livid, on top of your voice, screaming at the government's attempt to merge VRA with Bui. Well, what was the issue? What were you so passionate about that? Even the speaker was worried for your health.
Evans, read the second.
I will do so, which is the Ghana Hydro Authority bill.
Exactly.
Which says that the consolidation of the water, I mentioned at the beginning, of the Water Authority and the Bui Power Authority, and establishment of a state-owned hydropower generation company are intended to improve operational efficiencies, attract private sector financing into the operational state power plants, minimize the financial support of government, and minimize the cost of power generation, and ultimately the cost of power supply to Ghana consumers.
Yes, attract what?
You want me to emphasize that point? Attract private sector financing into operations of state-owned power plants.
I deliberately printed it.
What's the point
because
of that?
you want to play your mischief.
What am I missing? What am I missing? What's wrong with attracting private sector players
which is not the case?
Power generation.
You see, Bui Power Authority, we use Cocoa to go for loan, to come and do Bui Power Authority. Kwame Nkrumah did Akusumo. Chairman Rawlings did PON. We have the three operating independently. Bui Power Authority is operating very efficiently. Akusumo has been operating very efficiently. Even the best on the continent, I can say so. Bui Power now is even operating a hybrid system, the best in the West African sub-region. So when you are talking of efficiency, administrative efficiency is done by decentralization, not reconcentration. You know it. Bureaucracy, excessive bureaucracy, does not bring efficiency. Evans, you know.
These are two
but clearly, government intention is to consolidate the thermal plants and attract private sector by selling them.
And Cabinet has approved that.
Yes, but Cabinet has approved, but Parliament will not approve of government to go and sell our thermal plants.
Well, but yesterday, and just for clarity, you were on the call.
Yes.
You were on the call. I mean, it was public. So, and the Japan Mensah clarified that part of it is to list on the stock exchange and get Ghanaians to buy into it.
When we are talking about state capture, you think we are talking about foreign capture. It's not foreigners who will capture. It's part.
Yeah, but what's wrong with Ghanaians buying a part?
Some families in Ghana who will capture the state that we are talking of, who have been capturing us. So even where we are now is a critical issue. But on a very serious note, if you look at the taxes, the emergency
you want to come
report,
back to the, okay.
If you look at the emergency report, this is the business statement that was given to us. On the business statement, this bills were not part of the emergency
That
record.
did include the bill
and
that I read.
In the business statement, which me and my brother went, these things were not even contemplated and they were not part of the agenda. Then we came to the floor. Then my members came to me that Dr. Metiopoku Prempeh had come there in the morning and was lobbying them that they are bringing
The Ghana Hydro
to merge Bui and this thing, and was lobbying them. So they came to them and said, oh, it's not true. It's not on the business statement.
You mean
it's not part of it.
Who did?
It's not Metiopoku Prempeh, your running mate.
No, our incoming vice president.
Your running mate. Your running mate. He has not even been vice president. He's talking.
Yeah,
he's thinking of where he's going to catch him.
But Ahmed, it came to lobby and so. But what's wrong with that?
So when it's not true. Before I realized they went to bring other people addendum. By then, they had not even brought even anything of it nature to us, not knowing they've brought it via WhatsApp to the speaker. I went to print.
Ahmed, what is
I will send you the WhatsApp, then you go.
No, Ahmed,
I took the WhatsApp and printed this.
There are about 4 regulations. So which one is it? I don't get it.
And what are they?
Cross-purpose.
Evans, what are they?
They
have the Ghana Thermal Plant Authority Bill 2024, Ghana Hydro Authority Bill 2024, Ghana Power Distribution Bill 2024. So they will merge NETCO and ECG. So the PDS has backfired. So they are bringing it through the back door.
So which one is your problem?
Then Ghana Nuclear Power Corporation Bill and Ghana Energy Regulation, even
PURC and the Energy Commission.
So these are A to E that they were bringing through the back door. Meanwhile, our rules are very clear. If you want to bring something of this nature, you must bring sufficient copies. And government knew very well that because of his intention to privatize them, if you bring those private costs, it will be accompanied by this explanation memorandum, which will circulate for energy players to be able to read, for the VRA people to be able to read, and Bui Power people to be able to read, and they will go against it.
If you don't lay it,
yeah, it has not been laid.
That's what I'm saying.
But I'm showing
so
you
the rules says that the issue has to be laid.
I'm not interested in the procedure, but
because of my singular exercise. Today, Senior Staff Association of Akosombo, VRA, have issued a strict warning against the merger. Then Bui Power too are also up in arms against it. Because they know clearly they are going to be job losses.
So there is everything wrong with government trying to stimulate the operation of this authority.
So your fundamental issues.
And Evans, we contemplated this. We saw it in newspapers that government was conceiving a similar thing of this. So my chiefs in my constituency wrote a letter to the Bui Power Authority CEO that we've heard that your government is coming to take this action, merging Bui and Akosombo. Can you come and explain to us? We want to know. Because you came to take our land.
They demand an emergency meeting. This is dated 14 June.
Yes. Then the CEO wrote to them, to the chiefs, that if they were referring to news in the newspapers, a merger in the newspapers.
Samuel Jemisi?
Yes. A merger in the newspapers, he was not, so they should redirect their letter to the regional minister. Meanwhile, Evans Mensah was here yesterday telling you that they've done excessive consultation. Consulting who? Akosombo, VRA Senior Staff Association have issued a letter that you have not consulted them. Bui Power Authority, you've not consulted them. The chief, you've not consulted them.
So which people your problem is consultation.
And put that one.
Your problem consultation.
Put that one aside.
Your problem is consultation.
Evans, merging Bui and Akosombo will deprive the energy sector and Ghanaians as a whole with a lot of things. 2, it will further create other bureaucracies because you are saying that you are bringing all the thermal plants, the Ameri, the Kumasi power that John Mama brought and you took it to Kumasi. Then the Abuazi plant, you are bringing all of them. You will appoint a CEO. Are you not going to appoint new CEO? Are you not going to appoint new deputy CEOs?
Yeah, but one CEO instead of 2 CEOs.
One what?
One CEO instead of 2 CEOs. Now Bui has their own.
We had their own CEO.
Yes.
Akosombo had their own CEO.
Yeah.
But Abuazi doesn't have their own CEO. Abuazi is an Akosombo. Kumasi, Ameri don't have their own CEO.
Evans.
So you are going to create other positions that you claim that you are going to bring efficiency. But put that one aside.
Just a second. Don't give me. I'll come.
Evans,
don't worry about it.
Do you also know that we export power to our neighboring countries.
Yes.
We sign bilateral agreements.
How does it affect it?
Exactly. But do you know that before you qualify to sign those bilateral agreements, you cannot only rely on hydro to sign those bilateral agreements. Are you aware? So if you combine Bui and Akosombo, it will deprive you of that bilateral engagement. But no country will sign bilateral memorandum with you. Because in terms of drought, you cannot provide power to them.
But I don't understand what you're saying. But you have the thermal authority there.
You don't have it.
But it will be created as part of the comprehensive restructuring.
Cost of power in Bui is higher than cost of power in Akosombo.
Yes, so?
So if you merge the two, how are you going to reconcile the prices?
But that is not complex to do at all.
Do you also know that in terms of crisis, when VRA is in crisis, they rely on NEDCO for bailout, just by the price of the button. Now, if you take NEDCO away from Akosombo, how can Akosombo stand on it alone?
Yeah, but why can't they stand on it alone? You are consolidating two agencies.
Government is trying to run these two organizations like the way they run La Palm Beach Hotel. La Palm Beach Hotel, I went there, some two roofing, this thing were ripped off. Then I asked one MPP man, why are you not putting this? Though government is considering of attracting private sector. I didn't know that they wanted to sell. If you want to sell, doesn't mean you should not renovate.
So put
that one aside. Then finally,
I'll come to you. Don't worry about it. I said I'll come to you.
Finally, in my constituency, as I speak to you, we gave the land to Bui.
They have not been compensated.
No land compensation.
Yes, but how does a merger affect that process?
The chiefs just take their cloth and go to Bui and walk.
If Bui hasn't paid it,
if you combine
the merger means necessarily will not change anything.
The merger means there will be no CEO in Bui.
Yeah, but you have one. But you have one. Yes, but you have one CEO to deal with the matter.
If my chief now wants to go and ask about his land compensation, he has to come.
How is that even an issue?
Evans,
in terms of where the authority is,
but you know the cost of transportation from Banda to Akosombo.
Evans.
But you're saying that just a second. I'll come to you. The government's explanations for why this is needed in a country where we are moving towards consolidation and efficiency.
Who told you that?
Your party in your manifesto.
Who told you
it's
that?
talking about a leaner government. Let's look at a principle. Your government is talking about a leaner government in 2025 and beyond. You are consolidating all these bureaucracies.
Are you talking of linear CEOs?
Say it again?
Are you talking of linear CEOs?
You're talking about consolidation.
Are they not those who control?
And reducing the bureaucracy. Being efficient.
Why is government not talking of taking the development authorities back to the district assemblies? Why are they not talking of that?
Okay.
Why are you creating special development?
Let me hear from you.
But the one that will benefit Ghanaians, you are bringing that back.
But why hasn't there been consultation on this matter?
You see, there is this simple adage my grandfather used to tell me that when water stays too long in the mouth, it turns to saliva. That is why you could see that Ahmed is struggling so hard to explain it. Yes, he is the member of parliament for Banda. If
these people are directly affected.
If the people are affected, it is by right to be able to explain this. But I don't know what morality that the NDC, including Ahmed, will be able to talk to us when we talk about Bui Power or power generation and keeping our lights on in terms of efficiency. You ran down these companies when you were in power. You couldn't keep our lights on. There was doomsday everywhere. So when government is coming to streamline the operation of this company, telling one company that concentrate on hydro and tell the other company we are going to list you into the stock market.
We are going to sell you.
So we are going to list you into the stock market.
No, we are going to sell you.
So that people will be able to come and help.
Ghanaians to buy.
Don't use English. We are going to sell.
No, not sell. No, it's listed in the stock market.
A shareholder is the owner. Shareholders are going to own.
Let me hear you.
Ahmed, I'm simply telling you that when you are talking about...
We are going to sell.
Me, I sympathize and I agree with you when you are speaking for and on behalf of the people of Banda because you represent them.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is that your government, the NDC government, including you, have no moral right to be able to advise the New Patriotic Party or the MPP government when we want to say that in the energy sector, these are the reforms that we are going to bring efficiency.
What problem are you fixing with this measure?
The plans.
The point is, we brought all
the plans we are going to sell.
We brought the plans you want to take. It collapses.
We brought all the thermal plans for the energy generation that we want to take. That is what we have.
It kept quiet. He kept very quiet, and I was telling him to keep quiet so that he can speak. Let him allow him.
Brother, you know,
so you allow him to make his point.
The fact is that,
but you know,
you should agree
you made the point.
When you know that we brought the Kumasi
No, but you've made the point. You've made the point.
And you brought Dumso. You brought Dumso. You brought people to charge their phone. I'm telling you, Ahmed. So whatever
he doesn't know the genesis of Dumso.
The speaker had an admonition for you. He was worried about your health yesterday. So calm down. Calm down.
I don't want him to leave here and
make your point. Make your point. Allow him to make his point. Allow him to make his point.
He's a brother. I'm just giving you orientation.
Yeah, we said it. Allow him to make his point.
In 2005, I was in Ghana. I was the special or an aide to the Deputy Northern Regional Minister, Amin Adam, who is now the Finance Minister. In 2005, I was around. What I'm trying to say is that what government seeks to do in terms of the Ghana hydrological bill, and then the other thermal bill,
these are the bills
we try to come. That is the Ghana Hydro Authority bill. Seek to let one of the company, that is VRA, to concentrate on hydro, because that is even the basis of its establishment. That's number one. Then we talk about the Ghana Power Distribution Authority. What government seeks to do is to be able to make sure that there is streamlining, there is efficiency for us to be able to handle these sectors. Your concern, when you look at all what he is talking about, he's ready to bring
ECG and NEPCO together.
If it will bring efficiency and make sure that they work properly, it is good. You mentioned the fact that in their manifesto they are talking about lean government.
And
so
reducing the size.
It means that it's another lie, because their deputy whip is here advocating that it is not so. Because if it is so, why is he against this? If it is about the compensation and the fact that your chiefs have not been consulted, it's legitimate. It's a principle. So if the principle is to make this and let it happen, why
we are getting it wrong?
No, we are not getting it wrong.
Let him explain. It is not about ministers necessarily. It's a principle.
It's a principle
that you are doing it because why are you reducing your cycle government?
When we suggested link government, I will not move from 126 ministers to 86.
Yeah, that is when you look at it swelling within the realm of ministers. But you also must apply to state agencies.
Let's concentrate on the substance of this. Don't go to
let him address it.
And whether we have 86 ministers.
From 126 to
I don't want us to deviate into ministers.
We downsized it by 40 ministers.
So fundamentally,
finally, because they couldn't keep our lights on, they cannot keep our lights on. And if NDC is back to power, they don't do so.
I need to wrap up.
If NDC get the opportunity, we'll be back to do so.
Well, by the time that you will end there, you put in place enough to
put in place enough doesn't mean that you have ended it. If NDC get the opportunity,
and we ended the foundation.
By the way, gentlemen, very finally, something happened today.
It's an indication that you don't understand.
Something happened today that was interesting. The ally that would have given you the right to drive in town with sirens, it has been relayed. Do you still have in there a clause that allows you to use the sirens? Because the public was opposed to that. I'm just curious. Well, what has changed in this LI? Let me hear from.
I think the LI, in terms of that regulation, to allow initially, just like we do, when an LI is coming or regulation is coming to Parliament, we do winnowing to be able to do further consultation and look at pre-laying. The initial one had members of Parliament. It had the Speaker of Parliament. It had the Chief Justice. It had the President and the Vice President. Then there was a public outcry. And like we said, members of Parliament, sometimes if we are not bold in taking decision and standing by our rights in terms of what comes to us, we will always be in this dilemma. Then there was that public outcry. We were forced to get the minister to withdraw it and for us to be able to sanitize the whole document and bring it back to Parliament. The whole document was sanitized. Then it was laid already today. And when it was laid, another issue rise. The member of Parliament for Tamale South drew the attention of the House to the fact that even the Speaker of Parliament, because we are talking about arms of government, where we have the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. We are talking about only the president will be allowed to use siren, not motorcade. Let's differentiate that. Yeah. The motorcade part, you can be able to use it as and when you want. It's about the siren. So the Speaker of Parliament was not captured. The Chief Justice was not captured. And then we raised serious concern. And I am of the opinion, strong opinion, that members of Parliament should be allowed to use the siren, with all due respect to the public. Because the point is that out of 30 million Ghanaians, we are only 275 members of Parliament privileged. And we have been elected, meaning we are representing the 30 people. And if you look at the Constitution of Ghana, how it has been framed, when we go to 2024 election, it's two people that have been elected, members of Parliament and the president. Now, if you come and look at the Constitution in Article 117, 116, 118, for there are immunity to members of Parliament. Then where we are immune to being arrested, being safe, being summoned, and all those things. Now, there will be a serious problem. Assuming I am driving to Parliament and I have my siren on, and the police stopped me on the road and said that, oh, the regulations say that you cannot use the siren. But the Constitution also says that when I'm going to Parliament, you can't arrest me. Which one?
So for clarity, what has been relayed today, does it still give you the right to use it, or it's been taken out?
No, it has been taken out. Okay. So what has been laid today is only the President. Even the Speaker of Parliament is not supposed to enjoy that.
So Parliament cannot use.
Cannot.
What about the
Chief Justice? No.
Okay.
Even the Vice President, no.
Oh, I see.
Well, with the kettle, he's just the president. So the vice president, the Speaker of Parliament, the Chief Justice, and members of Parliament and ministers of state have been taken out. Look at how close this Parliament is. Many a time, I had to get members of Parliament who are writing exams in Jimpa and others to rush them to Parliament. When we are about to vote, how are we going to do?
Ahmed, you support this, obviously.
Clearly,
this new ally,
in fact,
and the changes.
Clearly, it is going to be a problematic law. Well, the Speaker has been giving motorcade already.
Yeah, you can use the motorcade, but don't use the siren. I guess that's the point.
The motorcade uses siren.
Yeah, but the motorcade.
The Chief Justice has been giving motorcade
ride without the siren.
But coming to the MPs, that's how democracy operates. The people, you bring a law, they will say we disagree. You have to take it. Then you consult, listen to them, and address concerns, then you come back. Which
is what you've done.
And it has happened several times.
So in 21 days, this becomes law?
Yeah, in 21 days. But today is just the first day. Okay. As to whether it will get the 21 days, because we'll come somewhere in October. And we have 92 days to elections. We are already in the whole of September, we are not coming. Then we'll come somewhere in October, maybe for 3 weeks. And as to whether for the 3 weeks plus today, 1 day, you'll get the 21 days.
Okay. Listen, enjoy
but
the rest
I think
of
when
your,
we get
enjoy the rest
to
of your
test
evening.
majority, we can be able to analyze.